Hamda, this really could now be momentum for President Erdogan to show force against the Kurdish groups that Turkey is actually fighting for decades already. This Kurdish-Turkish feud is a really long one. Kurds were struggling for independence or at least some kind of autonomy. There were several insurgencies into Turkish territory, Turkish operations to fight them back. But they were definitely also intensifying in recent years. Now, if we now listen to the Turkish defense minister's statements, he's saying that these airstrikes that we have seen during the weekend, these Turkish airstrikes in northern Syria and in Iraq, they are direct responses to the attack in Istanbul from November 13th, that blast that killed 6 people and left more than 80 injured. These airstrikes, they were specifically targeting the Kurdistan Workers' Party, the PKK, which is a designated terror group by Turkey itself, the US, and also the European Union, as well as also the Syrian Democratic Forces, which is a Kurdish-led militia, but also an ally of the US, actually. Now, these strikes over the weekend, they killed more than 14 people. That's what the SDF says, the Syrian Democratic Forces. Among them have been 11 civilians. Now, what is interesting, Hamda, is that the PKK itself and also the SDF, the Syrian Democratic Forces, they have denied any involvement in this Istanbul blast. And this is what makes Erdogan's critics think that he's actually only waiting for this momentum to start another campaign, and first and foremost in northern Syria, to, as I said, push back the Kurds, but also to create a specific atmosphere in the country, in Turkey, because Erdogan is facing elections next June, so he might need that specific atmosphere, and he might need another chance to prove himself in order to win these elections. Now, yesterday, Turkey actually claimed that the Syrian Kurdish YPG militia killed 2 people in a mortar attack from northern Syria into the Turkish province of Gaziantep, killing a teacher and a young child. And as a response, Erdogan yesterday evening said that this looming Turkish operation won't only be limited to an aerial one.
And Pia, let's now talk about other influence, what other countries have a stake in this. We do know that Russia was telling them to calling for restraint now. What kind of role is Russia playing here? The United States, perhaps Iran? Give us your take.
You're right, Hamda. There are lots of stakeholders in Syria, specifically in the Syrian civil war, in this region in general, Russia, the United States. And as you mentioned, Russia's special envoy to Syria, Alexander Lavrientev, said yesterday, and here I would like to quote him, "We hope to convince our Turkish colleagues to refrain from resorting to excessive use of force on Syrian territory to avoid the escalation of tensions." And just as a reminder, Russia joined the Syrian civil war in support of Syria's President Bashar al-Assad. The US, on the other side, supports several Kurdish groups, including the Syrian Democratic Forces, as I said, that were also targeted by these Turkish airstrikes. Now, that means that the US have the biggest interest in not letting this situation escalate now. A State Department spokesperson said that they also urge Turkey against such operations, but also the Syrian partners to not let this escalation happening. However, also everyone is occupied with the war in Ukraine right now, and Turkey is, for example, safeguarding the grain exports from Ukraine over the Black Sea. So Turkey might think, or Erdogan might think, that he has some sort of leverage here, but we'll see how this Turkish strategy will look like, and also how the other parties involved will react if their warnings actually will have an effect on President Erdogan.